If you have read any gaming related outlet or forum lately, you are probably aware that Fallout 76 wasn't exactly received all too well on its release. There are many reasons for that, partially because of people being salty that it's not Fallout 5, partially because the game does have a lot of bugs and a lot of things that should have been ironed out before the release, especially on the PC version, and also partially because a lot of the critics seem to like to go with whatever gets the most views in terms of their reviews, and yeah, the overall reception has just been a bit lackluster based on that. Fallout 76 already had its first sale on Black Friday for $35 or 30 euros or sometimes even 25 euros. So you could get it for relatively cheap, and I think that price in its current state is probably more appropriate than the full price as well. Now, one can discuss back and forth how bad the release really was. In my opinion, a lot of the things are overstated. The game is not as much of a buggy mess as many people seem to want to paint it, but it's still a flawed release, and while many people like me enjoy it and play it, a lot of people are staying away from it for good reasons as well. Bethesda has obviously taken notice of this, and with that they're going through a change in how they want to communicate with the fans and with the players in general, and as such they are releasing a time schedule and everything surrounding that for the next changes and talk about the future. And we're gonna go through that post and then talk about it a little more. Hi Fallout 76. We know you're frustrated and angry at the state of things right now. Whether it's the issues you're running into in the game or the lack of communication about fixes, updates or news. To be clear, this account is run by us, Bethesda Game Studios community team. Yesterday we posted to let you know that we're still here gathering your feedback and, more importantly, working to get info from the team we can share. We didn't want you to think the silence meant nothing was happening. We're sorry and understand this was not the right approach, and we'll work to make a better bridge between you and the dev team at BGS. At this point I will say real quick, I think that they just wanted to have something in their hands that they can talk about in terms of changes in the near future before they even come out. Because if you're saying we are aware and we're working on it, but we can't give you any dates, no one's really gonna care, and they're gonna be like, yeah, you're just holding us off here and you're just trying to get some more time for the stuff you want to get done. But now that they have actual things they can tell us, they can obviously communicate about them. We're posting an article today that has further information about the upcoming updates that were mentioned a few weeks ago. In addition, we're aiming to get you the patch notes for these updates quicker, and we'll have them available for December 4th update later this week. Probably Thursday or Friday. We'd like to make these articles weekly to make sure you know what the studio is working on as it relates to issues you may be experiencing, quality of life requests you may have, and new features that we are excited to share. This is actually interesting because this approach was taken by Sea of Thieves as well after that release kind of didn't go all too well and there was a lack of content in that regard. Bit different situation here, but similar approach where the communication will help out kind of solidify a base community. And it worked for Sea of Thieves. The game is not a huge success now, but it has a very stable player base that keeps coming back to it and talking about it. Please take a look at the below to see what we're posting today on Fallout.com, and as always, let us know if you have any thoughts or feedback. This article covers high-level issues being worked on, as the patch notes will go at length into what's being fixed with each update. December 4th, this is the first of the 2 patches coming, relatively short after each other. Next week's update will bring an increase to the stash limit, everyone's been asking for that, as well as a variety of performance and stability improvements, balance changes, and multiple bug fixes to the game. We'll have full patch notes available later this week ahead of Tuesday's update. Some notable issues being addressed in this update include: stash limit increased. We know many of you have been asking for an adjustment to the stash storage limit, and we're happy to share that we're increasing it from 400 to 600. While this is somewhat conservative, we plan to increase the storage cap further once we verify that this change will not negatively impact the stability of the game. Boss loot. Players should now correctly receive 2 or 3 items after taking down a boss, depending on the creature's difficulty and level. Cryolator effects. Players hit with a cryolator are now chilled, frosted or frozen, depending on how many times they're hit. The duration of movement reduction applied by these effects have also been decreased from 2 hours to 30 seconds. I've personally never been hit by one, but now I'm glad I wasn't. Respawning when overencumbered. We've resolved an issue affecting players who die while overencumbered that only allowed them to respawn at Vault 76. Now overencumbered players will be able to respawn at the nearest discovered map marker. Stuck in power armor. We've addressed an issue in this patch that could cause players to become stuck inside power armor. We're also aware that there are some additional cases where this can occur, and we're actively investigating them. So this is the first one that is more focused on bug fixes, but comes with the stash limit increase, which is very nice already. But the second patch that is coming shortly afterwards on December 11th is the one that really matters, in my opinion, and that can really change the game quite drastically. The next update after December 4th is currently planned for the following week. Like previous patches, it will include a variety of bug fixes, but we're also planning to bring some more notable changes and features to the game. You can catch a preview of these improvements below, and a full list of changes will be included in the December 11 patch notes. PC additions. A push-to-talk setting for voice chat, 21:9 resolution support, and a field of view setting are all being implemented on PC with this update. You can actually kind of get field of view settings at the moment already, but they can kind of get reset if you use that, so this is a very nice addition that I think a lot of people will be using because it just feels a bit uncomfortable with that small field of view. I feel like there are more settings that could come in the future, we'll hear about them then, but push-to-talk is obviously also very, very important, very crucial for the communication. I think it will really change how people play in this game. Because right now, almost no one is using voice because you don't have push-to-talk, and it's super annoying when everyone can hear everything you say, but if you have push-to-talk, that's no longer an issue. 21:9 resolution support is useful for those that use those kind of screens. For me personally, it doesn't matter. Next point, special respec. After level 50, you'll be able to choose between a new perk card or moving a special point you had previously allocated. So you have to make a decision here, which I think is a bit unfortunate because I'd really like to have both options, but at least it's some logic to it and you can't just easily respec this way. So you can choose if you want the perk card or if you want the respec, and then depending on that you can change your character or just get some better cards. Fair enough, I like that there is some way to change your special after level 50 now, and I think this is a good test approach for now. We'll see how it works out. Camp placement on login. Your camp will no longer be automatically blueprinted and stored if someone is occupying the location when you log into a server. Instead, you receive a notification that your space is occupied. If you decide to find a new home for your camp on that server, it will be free to do so. However, if you don't attempt to place down your camp, you will be able to switch to a new server where that spot is vacant and your camp will be fully assembled and waiting for you. This change may be a bit confusing or redundant to some of you, but it's very important for some people. For those who really like building a specific structure in a specific place and expanding on this particular structure and just, continuing to build on it over and over. And if you are one of those players, what would happen if somebody else had a structure in that same place is you couldn't place yours there and it would be stored right away. Now you have the option to just go to another server and hope that the spot is free there, so sooner or later you will find a server where you can place it. So for those who are very focused on building in one particular area, this is amazing, while for those who move around with their camp a lot, it doesn't really matter. And it also kind of goes with the next point. I'm kind of wondering how that's going to work out. There's another new feature, and it is Bulldozer. This is a new camp feature that will allow you to remove small trees, rocks and other obstructions, so it's easier to create and place your camp when and where you want it. You can also use the Bulldozer to clear these items from the surrounding area to make your camp feel more like home. So you can clear out entire areas, and the question here is what happens if you use Bulldozer on one server and then you have to go on another server and your camp is kind of on those obstacles. Will it still be placed or will it be bugged out? So I hope that Bulldozer is kind of stored in the same way as structures in your camp essentially, and you will bulldoze on that other server as well, so this doesn't lead to issues. It's definitely very nice because there's so many situations where it's hard to place down your camp or even any foundations for it, and that led to a lot of people actually building camps where they just build one foundation and then a stair up and have their entire camp above that just so they don't have that issue. And it just looks kind of janky. It's also annoying if somebody then destroys that base part. So I think this way is much better for the long run and makes it much nicer to build structures in whichever place you like without making things look weird. So definitely a good change. Thank you, and please don't stop letting us know what we can improve and how we can improve our communication and what else needs to be addressed in the game. Once we finalize the patch notes for December 4th update, we'll be sure to post them here and all patch notes and weekly updates going forward. Bethesda has also responded in the same comments to some people posting some more specific bugs, and that they will look into them as well, that they're aware of some of them, some are being fixed and some they didn't know about, so they're definitely showing more communication in that regard. Now, what's interesting to me is that all these plans are coming for December, and right now the price for Fallout has actually gone up again. The Black Friday sales are over and the price is again at 50-60 bucks. What I think is going to happen is they're going to introduce these changes, both of these changes, and then around Christmas, which makes a lot of sense, they're going to drop the price again down to 30. And at that point, they will have those major issues out of the way and the game will feel a lot better already. And that way, a lot of the people that may buy the game for cheaper then will have a better experience from the start, which I think is a good move. I think the price drop around Black Friday was also a business move to get some people to actually play the game and experience it themselves instead of just judging by like other people's reviews, because I find that a lot of people that actually played it enjoy the game a lot. I kind of wish that these changes would have been made before the release, and the release felt rushed to me. I think there was just a set date that was just not being moved by some higher ups, and as such, they kind of ended up with these bugs and this unfortunate release overall, but I am kind of hopeful for the future due to the fact that a lot of these issues are addressed within the first month. There are still more things to be addressed, so the key bindings definitely need some looking at, especially on PC. PvP generally probably needs a bit of an overhaul. We will probably need more settings on PC in the future because some things still look a bit janky depending on what settings you're using. And there are also sometimes quest bugs, not that frequent, but they happen and you have to rejoin, and it would be nicer if we don't have to rejoin in order to fix those bugs. We'll see how things go from here, but I'm very much looking forward to the December changes. And with that, thank you guys for watching. I hope this was interesting and insightful. Sorry I've been slacking on the Fallout content a little bit. I just was super busy with a lot of Smite stuff that's been happening, but the Smite video I wanted to make today actually didn't work out today, so probably Smite tomorrow and then Fallout the next day once again. If you're new to the channel, feel free to sub button and maybe the bell, it really helps me out. And other than that, see you for the next one tomorrow. DukeSloth, out.